All right, ladies and gentlemen. Yesterday I did a story concerning St. Mary's Catholic School in Goldsboro, North Carolina, and the racial slurs that a 10-year-old black child was receiving from students at that academy that continued unchecked by staff and administrators, so much so that the mother recently removed the child from the school. Now, yesterday I met with the mother and she gave me a whole dossier of information from emails to police reports, from testimony from her son to videos of how she reported these incidents as early as December of last year. And the incidents continued until March, until the final incident where her child was criminalized by a Wayne County Sheriff high ranking official. Now, this right here is the police report. I'm going to show you the police report, but I'm also going to go over some of the things that the child had to endure. Now, this police report was initiated once again by a quote unquote high ranking official of the Wayne County Sheriff Department, one Christopher L. Peedin. And he was the parent, or is the parent, of the alleged victim. Now, I think this is very despicable. This is very disingenuous. How a member of the sheriff department will use his influence to charge or file an incident report against a 10-year-old black child for simple assault after this black child has been bullied and been the subject of racial slurs for nearly 3 months. So what the mother and I feel, and many people feel, that this is exact retaliation for the mother's constant and unrelenting efforts to obtain justice for her sons. Now, these right here are pages of emails dating back from December to March. Now, I'm going to go over those emails in another video, but I want to focus this video on this vicious report that was filed. Now, the victim of the crime, and I blacked out his name because he's a child, so out of respect for the child, he is innocent outside of his racial slurs towards the young man. But here you see Christopher L. Peedin. Now, his occupation is the Wayne County Sheriff Office deputy. Now, the officer as well that came to the school to initiate this incident report, it says Officer Michael Rivers. You see right here. Now, everybody should know Michael Rivers. He is a very known, I think, African-American police officer in this county. But what's most disturbing about this report is the child has been the subject, and the mother has been advocating for a child for 3 months. Now, at the end of this 3 months, the child gets in another incident with a student, and I'll go over that incident now. And then 2 months later, now the incident allegedly happened in January of early this year. This report was not filed until February the 29th, nearly 2 months after the alleged incident, which once again speaks of retaliation against the child and the mother, also attempting to paint this young black boy, who has been the subject of numerous racial slurs by peers that went unchecked. they're going to paint him now as the criminal at 10 years old. I think that is very despicable on your part, captain, major, lieutenant, whatever your position is. I think that is very, very, very disingenuous for you to do so. Now the mother showed me a picture of this Peedin guy holding her son, taking a picture with him. She said that how he always related how the son was so well mannered and quote unquote allegedly he wished his son could be like that. Things of that nature. She showed me the picture where this sheriff deputy, he was then a parent, but was hugging this black kid, and everybody was all smiles. Now yet and still you would go down and file an incident report for simple assault for an incident that your son allegedly started. Now, just look at some of these racial slurs that the young black child had to endure that his mother has been addressing for the past 3 months. One incident he relates to his mother. He was asked, does he like fried chicken and watermelon? Now, these statements are coming from his peers. And he lists names. Now, once again, I'm going to keep the names out of respect for the children. But it is obvious that these children have been taught some things or have learned some things that are not very childlike and not very respectful. The second incident goes on to say that one of the students mentioned to the young black boy, why are you talking to us like we're your friends? And then they pick on him like on how he talks. So the third one, which I mentioned yesterday, this particular student asked for an N-word pass around the holiday, Thanksgiving, because his cousin was going to be in town. When the young black man told him no, he said, well, they don't need his permission to say it because he can just say nig and once again, being cleverly sarcastic but also being cleverly disrespectful for being able to say the word without saying the word. Now also, this other incident that says that there was a paper with black lines on it. And this particular student pointed at the black lines and then pointed at the black students, indicating that the students was the black lines. Once again, you can't get any more racial than that. Now, this other incident says that the science teacher instructed a teacher to turn off the lights. And then these particular students, and it lists about 3 students, began acting like they can't, turning around, reaching out their hands like they can't find the black student, asking, where is the black student's name? Where is him? And this happened, he said, twice. Now, once again, I'm not mentioning the children's name out of protection for them. Everybody wants to always find something to distract from the point of the video. So to keep those distractions out of this video, I won't mention the kids' names, even though I think they should be mentioned because these are kids doing these things. Now, the incident number 6, they said they was on the basketball court, and these particular children stated that we didn't tell you to stop working, get back to work. And they made the whipping action and the sound. Can't get any more racial than that. And then again, they once again requested an N-word pass via paper. The paper was passed by one of the the paper was passed by one of the students, and then um, the one of the student asked the black kid, or asked about the black kid, what is he getting out of this? Like, what is he getting out of, hanging with, um, people who are attacking him constantly? And then lastly, one of the students called the black child a black biscuit and told him to get to the back of the bus. Now, these are 8 incidents that the mother requested uh, discipline about, or rectification about, which she never received. So I'm going to get into those during the next video, because I don't want to beleaguer the point. But all throughout this time, even one of the emails states that the teacher asked the young black child, why did you keep hanging around them if they're going to treat you like this? But if looking at this child, and I looked at a child, I can tell that this child has a pure heart. And that's part of who we are as well as a people. Like, we're going to give you another chance and another chance and another chance, as we see throughout history, for people to do right by us. And that's why I think this kid was, just looking at him. But all throughout this time, and we're going to go over those emails on the next video, so you can see how the teachers, the staff, the administrators continuously practice benign neglect towards this mother concerning the actions being perpetrated by the students at this school. So this incident in question is when this officer's son pushed the young black child. Now, the young black child pushed him back, and he stated, if you push me again, I'm going to slap you. Now, it was at that point that this officer's child allegedly pushed him again, and when he pushed him, the black child reached out to slap him, but because the other child started running, according to the mother, he barely grazed his face. Now, this incident happened in January 2024, January the 8th. That's what the police report says. However, an officer did not come to the school to, quote unquote, investigate the incident until February the 29th. This is when the so-called incident was reported. Now, the mother, once again, she had been in constant communication with the school for months regarding these incidents. So in this particular incident, I think the diocese or the archdiocese or the principal called her and said, well, we need to talk about this incident involving, the investigation with the police. Now, the mother was like, what incident? She was dumbfounded. She had nothing. She had no knowledge of this. She found out about this incident on March 7th, 2 months after it happened, but also a week after the police filed this incident report. Now, and when the mother questioned her son, he was equally dumbfounded, and it was like, well, that happened in January. So why? You have to ask yourself, why would this police high-ranking official wait for 2 months to send his cohort out there to file this investigative report? That very much speaks of retaliation, which the mother references in some of her emails. Now, this is the narrative. I want y'all to see this narrative. The narrative states, RP. Now, RP, I don't know what that stands for because, well, RP, the last name is Peedin. Somebody tell me what RP stand for. RP alleges that a known juvenile offender assaulted the listed victim. Now look at that. Look at that narrative. And what do you see on the top of that? Suspect hate, bias, motivated. Now here is a kid who's been the subject of all of those things that has been said against him. Now he is being perpetrated as the one with the hate and the bias. Now this is initiated once again by this officer, Peedin. And look at the wording, a known juvenile offender. Now they're going to say, well, that just means he was known to the victim. But look at the wording. The wording suggests that he's a known offender. He's been doing these things for quite some time. Now, as I mentioned in the last video, because of all of these things that were happening to the young black child, they started taking him out of the class and giving him counseling as if he was the problem, as if he was doing something wrong, never addressing the acts perpetrated by numerous children. Like these are 5, 6, 7 different children who are doing this. Now, anybody who has been in school, if you see that someone is being picked on by others, the mob mentality, the gang mentality is, oh yeah, everybody's picking on him, so let me join in too. I remember students such as Kitty Bitty, rest his soul, Anthony Stokes, and a lot of other kids, that were known to be picked on because everybody did it. So here we have a black student who has been continually vilified and targeted by these students, being now made the one who is the aggressor. Now I'm going to show you the last part of this paper. It says RP reports that a known juvenile offender assaulted the victim several times. And that known juvenile offender is the one black child who has been the subject of countless racial slurs, countless assaults. So we need answers, Officer Captain Lieutenant Peedin, on why you felt it necessary to file a criminal report alleging assault because of a childhood altercation between your son, who's allegedly being harassing this child, and also this child who finally decides to stand up for himself. Now, we know children, so stories vary. He hit me, I hit him, he hit me first, whatever the case may be. It's a childhood fight. Why would you seek to criminalize this young black man after or while the history of the criminalization of black men and children throughout this nation? There is no excuse for this. And the fact that there is documentation of this mother seeking justice from the diocese, from the principal, from the teacher, and receiving none, but she has been so consistent that this reeks of retaliation against this child and her mother. Nevertheless, the child has since been removed from the school, but I'm going to go over those emails to let you people see how this thing works. Now, evidently, officer, sergeant, master sergeant, captain, whatever title you want to give him, is actually a high-ranking official. He definitely has pull. So as I mentioned in the last video, of course they don't want to offend him. Of course they don't want to make his child out to be the bad guy. Of course they don't want to lose possible funding or possible relationships with the Wayne County Sheriff Office. But right is right and wrong is wrong. And I'm disturbed by a phone call I got yesterday from a black educator who said that she had spent 38 years in the schooling. And well, this is not racism. You know, children do what they do, and if he would have body slammed somebody, it doesn't matter what race that he's in, you know, he needs to be punished. Now she's referring to the incident that it was alleged that the black child body slammed somebody in a limousine ride, but as I mentioned in the video, that allegation was said not to be true. So this black woman would say she didn't mention any of the racial slurs that the young child had to endure. She automatically jumped on, once again, the narrative that this black child is the bad child. And that is the problem a lot of times with people who are very well indoctrinated or connected with the establishment. The establishment is often right no matter how wrong they may be. So, you know, we had a nice conversation, and then she went off on Dr. Witchard, and, you know, she started putting the cape on for him, and he didn't have anything to do with this video, which further lets me know that, once again, she's very ingrained in the educational system, and anytime that someone points out an issue with the educational system, then that person is the problem, not the educational system. We talked about her own child being a student at the school, and he had no problem, and he went on to an Ivy League school, and, you know, we don't have any of those experience, which I said that's fine and well and good. I know students as well who have went to that school and related no such offenses. However, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. I think Martin Luther King said that. What I mean by that is, if you have a babysitter and you have a neighborhood, and this particular babysitter is known to babysit for 20 families in the neighborhood without incident. Now, all of a sudden, a mother comes home and finds this babysitter abusing a child. Would you say, well, he babysitted for us and, you know, he didn't abuse my child? Or would you say, yeah, he needs to be punished for that particular incident? That's the type of thing that we cannot do. We can't minimize this incident because you didn't have the same experience. I'm not going to do that. No matter how great the school has been over the years, no matter how many things I do in the community, if I go rob a bank tomorrow, they're not going to say, well, Richard took some kids to Charlotte on a basketball trip. You know, Richard goes to the prisons. You know, Richard, you know, does an after school program. They're not going to say any of that. They're going to address that particular wrong that I did in that instances. So it is disingenuous for, you know, that lady. And she had the audacity to call me private, which once again is in bad faith, because if you ever call me and you say, I don't want my name mentioned, I don't want this conversation repeated, then I respect that. But this lady had the audacity to say, well, yeah, you know, I've been in school system 38 years, and once again, congratulations. But just because you've been in the school system 38 years doesn't make you higher or better than anyone else in their understanding. Once again, a lot of these, much success to people who got doctorates, and although a lot of those are what they say doctorates, indoctrination. But that's a whole nother video for another subject. But, you know, I respect that experience. But once again, that experience doesn't make you the end all be all across the board. And so, but she had the audacity to say, well, yeah, and I even taught you. And then, you know, she said that and hung up. Well, if you taught me, then you know who I was. And actually, if you taught me, you're probably part of the problem, because as I learned, as I got older, that 95% of what I learned in school was either a half truth or an outright lie. So you're at fault too, by perpetrating a half curriculum. But I don't want to get off the task of this video. The most disturbing thing about this is this police report. Police report states that a victim, which is this high-ranking officer, sheriff's sons, has been assaulted by this black child, and this wasn't reported until 2 months later after the mother continuously sought justice for the racial bullying that her son received. What do you think? What do you think? Is this not retaliation or what? The same man that bragged and raved about how good this child was, now he wants to file charges. Simple assault. This is the crime on a 10-year-old. Y'all see it. Simple assault. Crime incident. The victim is an 11-year-old child, the son of this officer. So once again, 919-587-7782. Feel free to call me. Let me know what y'all think about this incident in the comments. We're going to go back over this later on. I have somewhere to be, so I can't touch the emails right now. Probably do that tomorrow. But y'all let me know what y'all think. We're gonna listen to the recording as well of the principal saying, well, I don't know what to do. What do you suggest I do? And the mother actually came up with some solutions as well, which were once again ignored. But this is what we have with the St. Mary's Catholic school. As I mentioned, St. Mary's and a lot of the Christian schools were started right around integration, where an influx of white students went to their schools primarily because they didn't want to attend schools with black students. So there is a spirit that is continuously, no matter how things look on the surface. Yes, we all get along fine on the surface. I just met with some very distinguished Caucasian gentlemen, and we had a great conversation. We have a lot in common. But just because, and I don't play the victim as well, but I point out what is wrong, because like I stated earlier, if you don't point out what is wrong, then how are we going to correct it? If somebody's stealing money, and if I don't say, hey, they're over there stealing money, then they're going to keep stealing money. If you got what I'm saying. So that is the purpose of this video, to get some exposure, to see how, once again, a 10-year-old child was criminalized by a high-ranking official of the Wayne County Sheriff Department after he has been subject to months of hate and bias, in which now they flip it. Suspect hate and bias motivation. Now he's the problem. Y'all check it out. 919-587-7782. Peace and blessings to all.